What's up, guys? My name is Nathan Williams. I'm with KWE Solutions, and today I'm going to be talking about comping deals like a pro. All right, first of all, just get a few little terms out of the way that'll help us as we have this conversation. So there's three things you need to know. You've got your subject property, your comparable or comp, and then you have your ARV. That's your third thing. So your subject property is the deal, whatever you're looking at. You're trying to see if there's value there or something you can work out, a way to make money, invest in, etc. Your comparable is something that's really similar, that's sold recently, and it's going to give you a good idea of how much your subject property would be worth. Now, that comparable should be something that's been recently fixed because that's what you're going to do with the subject property. So you're going to take that, and from that comparable, you get the after repair value. So you're trying to find out how much your subject property would be after you repair it. That is the ARV. With that, we can hop right in. All right. First of all, why comping matters. Number one, it qualifies leads and deals. So as you get into things, it just helps you understand what's actually a good lead, a good deal. And take it from me, I've lost some money just by not really knowing how to comp things. It's an easy mistake to make. You can lose your earnest money deposit on things just because you don't really understand whether there's value there. You're basically taking a shot in the dark if you don't understand that number one thing. Two, it helps you to understand what buyers are looking for in your market. It's really important that we work from the end backwards and understand what our buyers want and what they're looking for, because if you don't know how much the deal is worth, then you don't know how much a buyer can get out of it. It's just practically impossible to do it without knowing how to comp. Finally, good comping is just foundational to success in the real estate industry. Without some knowledge, you're just trying to get lucky, and you might get lucky once or twice, but you can't create consistent results without knowing how to comp deals. All right. So what is a comparable? What makes for a good comparable? So you have your subject property, and then you're trying to find a good comp. So a good comp is, number one, in the same subdivision. So it's not crossing a major road or anything like that, because different area, the same looking house, 3 miles away is going to be a completely different sales price. It needs to be plus or minus 200 square feet of your subject property. So if your subject property is 1,300 square foot home, your comp can be no more than 1,500 square feet and no less than 1,100 square feet. It's just too different. Same thing for the lot, plus minus 2,500 square feet, build date 10 years. Ideally, you're going to want to have the same bed bath. So if you've got a 3-2, 3-bed, 2-bath as your subject property, ideally you want your comp to be a 3-bed, 2-bath as well, because you're comparing apples to apples. 6, same property type. That applies to number of stories, the style, whether that's ranch, etc. Brick or composite. That's a really easy one to miss. Definitely check out the pictures. Be sure you're checking to see if one is brick, the other is composite. That can be a $10,000 to $15,000 difference pretty quick. And that's just because brick's more durable, it's more desirable for the most part. So double check that as well. That definitely changes on the market as well. Some areas have more stucco, etc. So know your area, check out how it's built. 7th, we have sold within 3 months, ideally. This is a really important one. Market changes super often. It fluctuates a lot. It goes up, it goes down, depending on interest rates, everything like that. And as a wholesaler, like for myself especially, I have to put myself in the shoes of an investor. They're investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in this deal. They're not just going to take a risk or just hop in there and hope it goes well. They need to know with a certain level of certainty that they can get this thing sold for a decent price. So if something sold 6 months ago for $250,000, it might be worth $220,000 now. And a lot of investors are looking to make $30,000 to $20,000 on a deal of that price. So it might become unprofitable or even lose them money if the comp hasn't been recent and it's not reliable. So definitely be sure to check that. And honestly, if you're sending this to an investor, they probably won't even care about your comp if it's not within the past 3 months. 4 months is stretching it, but sometimes you can get away with that. All right, a few things to watch out for. Major roads. easy deal killer, especially when you're subject to property. I would just say avoid it. If you're locking up deals, if you're getting them under contract, if you're investing, it's just super dangerous. Things that are backing or fronting major roads don't sell as well. And it makes sense when you think about it. Like, I wouldn't want to live on a major road. It's loud, noisy while I'm trying to sleep. Let's say you have kids, they're not going to go out there and play on that road or whatever. So it's just not an ideal situation. Comps that cross major roads, for example, on this screenshot I've got on the right, subject property would be the green one. And down at the very bottom, you have that house, it's $220,000. That's not a comp. You just can't use it. It's not in the same area. It's completely different. Finally, flood zones. This is one you don't always have to check, but if it's close to a river, creek, lake, something like that, you might want to go check and be sure it's not a flood zone. There's a really easy way to find out. For example, we primarily work the Dallas market. So if I just go look up Dallas GIS, is what it's called, Dallas GIS, it should pop up. You can look at it and it'll show you all the lots and if they're in a flood zone or not. Awesome. We're buzzing right through it. Making adjustments. This is a lot of the meat of what you have to do, because as much as I love to see a comp that is the exact same, it rarely ever happens. So typically we have to make some minor adjustments to get the true after repair value of our subject property. So I'll kind of explain it for the bedrooms and then you can apply it across the other areas. But let's say our subject property is a 4-2, 4-bed, 2-bathroom, and our comparable is a 3-2. So it has one less bedroom. If our comparable is the same in all the other ways and it's sold for $250,000, I might expect our 4-2 to sell for, $265,000 or something around there. So you need to add on some dollars to your after repair value if your comparable has less bedrooms. That applies across the board. It also goes the other way. So if you have less bedrooms than your comp, you need to take some money out of the after repair value. Obviously, less is less. That applies to bathrooms, pools, garages, carports. There's a bit of a range on all of these, honestly, because as a house gets more expensive, these things are, worth more, basically. So if you have $1 million home, I promise you an extra bedroom is going to be worth more than 10K. It's going to be worth more than that. So just keep an eye out for that. And I do have a little special note here at the bottom. 3-2s are prime homes. So make adjustments accordingly with that. It's really easy to kind of miss out on this, but 3-2s are basically the cookie cutter home. That's the most desirable basic home that people want to stay in, live in. They're just more valuable. So if you're comparing a 2-2 to a 3-2, that jump might be a little bit higher. So just assume that it's going to be a little bit more for that bedroom, whatever. So just be mindful of that. And ideally 3-2 to 3-2, but if you're comparing anything below a 3-2 to a 3-2, you just have to be a little more careful. Coming back to major roads again, best to avoid. I said it twice because it's worth saying, but if you absolutely are going to go for it and you're just like, man, this person really needs to sell their house and I just really want to help them out and I just need to get them a good price, the highest price I can get, whatever, just be sure that your comp is similar. So if it's on a major road and you've got a house that's on the same major road and everything else is the same, that's okay, because technically that's still comparable. It is the same. Other than that, it's so unadvisable. I didn't even write it down here, but once you get into it a little bit more, you can do it by a percentage and kind of guesstimate a little bit and say, okay, this subject property is on a major road. It's probably going to be 15% less or whatever for the ARV, and then you need to factor that in as you make your decision. But ideally, just avoid it. A lot of investors don't even like them just because they're hard to sell. So best case scenario is just don't mess with it. Awesome. Well, now that we have that down, I just want to show you a little bit of the actual process so you understand what we're working with. We really love Privy. That's what we use. We're not agents, so we don't have MLS access, but this kind of gets us comps and stuff in a non-disclosure state, being in Texas. Pretty important. So I've got this on market deal here. It's active, as you can see here, price $180,000, and I'm just going to start checking it out. First thing I notice, I'm going to zoom in here, and what are we fronting? A major road. And you can also check the satellite view. That's an easy way to tell. Check it out. It's like, okay, this road is split. This is a serious thoroughfare, not an ideal situation. So to me, already, I'm like, might not even want to bother with this one, but let's go check the comps real quick. Always be sure within half a mile. Rarely you can go above that, but ideally within half a mile, that'll keep you safe. I've already got this sorted by most recently sold, and a good place to start is typically the build date, because that's an easy way to just scan, cross it out. So this was built in 1986, and these are all the comps back to November. Not a single one of them is anywhere close to 1986. Immediately I look at this and I go, no, next. So just skip it. There's no point in making an offer and guessing. Just go to the next property. So I've got another property here, and this one is pending. It's on market. You're checking it out, whatever. This one is actually by a lake, which is an interesting situation. Needs a lot of work though, everything like that. So let's go ahead and see what we're looking at. All right. So as you can see here, there's your lake. Here's the house. It kind of fronts the street that's fronting the lake, I guess, is the real situation. But it's there. This is another one you might kind of want to avoid, because lakefront homes tend to be worth more, but it's really hard to find a comp because it has to be another lakefront home, basically. But if I was to just assume that this wasn't a lakefront home, if I'm looking in here, first of all, none of these are comps. They're all on the other side of a major road. Doesn't count. So this is what I basically have to work with. If you have Privy, this is kind of a cool tool. You can actually draw. So I'm just going to cross off that area completely, because I don't even want to see those comps. And that's going to select that area. All right, cool. I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to be sure that this is here like that. And then let's be sure, I don't want everything. I want within 15% of size and within, okay, let's keep in the same area. Awesome. All right, so nothing. We got nothing here. Just pass on it, because the square footage and everything is off. If you come in here and you look at this, we're not really seeing anything super great. Let's see, what's this guy? Well, that's a little interesting, actually. This one, we could kind of work, maybe 1961. It's within 10 years. You know, ours has one more bedroom. It's a little bit larger, but decent. If we open this up, sold super recently as well, which is awesome. Obviously, they painted exterior. This is a nice rehab. You know, they did a good job. New kitchen. It looks like like that. Obviously, I'm pleasant to this, but you'll want to take a little more time. Okay, so that's looking decent. So $340,000. All right, but our subject property is a 4-2. You know, I think it pulled it out because ours didn't have a garage, but ours is a 4-2, and this is a 3-2. So you're gonna want to add on some ARV for that. So if this sold for 340, then we kind of estimate that the extra bedroom is probably worth, at this point, it's probably worth $15,000 to $20,000. I'm just going to stay on the conservative side, just to be safe, and say that our new ARV is $355,000 for our subject property. Now, we come up here, we can check it out, we can look at it, and then you're going to want to check out the repairs, everything like that, to figure out what your true offer would be. But you've got a decent comparable. You could send this to someone and kind of have an idea. However, once again, this is not really a good comp. I would totally pass on this as an investor, as a wholesaler, because look, this is a one-story. It's not on the lake. It's not the same type of build. It's just too different. But you can kind of check the stuff and see if it works. But realistically, it's not quite there. So That's the stuff you want to look for. If you guys have any questions, definitely leave a comment, reach out to me, whatever. Love to talk. If you guys have deals in DFW Houston, send them my way. I can double check comps for you or whatever. But yeah, you guys have a good one. Appreciate you watching.